And then the hunting lodge can be basically right beside them. And then I will put a granary there. We're gonna need to start giving them wells for water soon. To get a few of these people satisfied. Although, I kind of jumped the gun there. I could have just waited on this. But we managed to supply the village's granary with food. Now the villagers need access to clean water from a water supply, which is much preferred over well water. Like wells, these must be built on land with underlying groundwater, as indicated by the presence of green grass growing. Water supplies also need access to employees in nearby housing. Once up and running, a water supply will dispatch a water carrier to deliver buckets of clean drinking water to all the houses in his immediate vicinity. Click Overlays Water to see which houses have access to clean water from a water supply. It too is simple well water or no water source at all. To complete this mission, you need to provide 6 sturdy huts with food from a bazaar, so they'll evolve into meager shanties. Okay, and there is one thing that I find to be mildly irritating that they've just brought up. Right there. You see, and I'm going to actually do something I normally wouldn't, because it'll more easily allow me to meet their water needs and keep it closer by, and I'm not really... And this is one thing that I find kind of annoying you have to deal with sometimes, that there's not really any way, we'll just build a road to that, to see what the range, the run of a building is. Like, in what range will you, or buildings, basically what I'm trying to say is, there's not really any way from what I can tell to see how far away a building that needs workers will look for workers, just based off the interface and the in-game stuff. There doesn't seem to be anything you can use to determine that. Which is kind of annoying. I can see from looking at the overlays individual things like water, risks, entertainment, health, etc., but there's not an overlay for the building, from what I can tell, of how many... There's not any kind of overlay that you can look at for individual buildings to see how many of your houses, or how many sources of employment, let's just say, are in range that that building can pull from for the purpose of gaining employment. That's not something you can really look at, which does make things kind of difficult when you're really in need of new workers and you put down a bunch of housing, only to find out later that the housing you put down is not close enough to the buildings for it to employ from them. That can be kind of a pain. But it's something you just kind of get used to, and a lot of it's going to be trial and error, in my experience. which I don't have a massive amount of experience. And victory is ours. Yeah, that was the first mission, so fairly simplistic. But yeah, I don't have a massive amount of experience with this game. I actually did a one-shot first impressions of it very recently. I just sort of decided spur of the moment that I wanted to let's play it. Because when it comes to let's plays, at the moment, I kind of enjoy doing strategy games and the like more than RPGs. Don't ask me why, just... You'll still see RPGs from me, just a lot less. Because in a lot of cases, I just enjoy this sort of thing more.
Well done. By filling your people's bellies with nourishing food and protecting their homes from fire and collapse, you have helped this fledgling civilization take its first step on the long road of history.
Yeah, that's one thing that actually didn't come up in this mission. Houses can catch on fire and collapse, but I finished that one so quickly we didn't even unlock the buildings to deal with that. And my other profile for my personal playthrough that I was doing before had a much lower score than this, and the mission was completed in 6 in-game months. The game will also, says there, rate you for things like culture, prosperity, and funds and population. So, the more you do with those, the better your score. I'm not particularly bothered by that, to be perfectly honest. I'm more just enjoying building the city and expanding things and engaging with all the systems. That's the enjoyable bits to me. Moving on.
After many years and the passing of a generation, your family has resettled in the area of Inis, in Upper Egypt. Here, a small band of local rulers is attempting to extend its influence over Lower Egypt and all lands along the River Nile, and to unite this realm under its own house with one supreme leader. Establishing Thinis as a thriving city like nothing ever seen before will prove the worthiness of the Thinite Confederacy and help them gain supremacy over Lower Egypt and the other factions vying for power. In time, this will mean providing the population with entertainment and building wonderful temples to worship the region's patron deity. To build a city this grand will require a substantial supply of cash. You'll find rich deposits of gold ore in Thinis, and harvesting them should be your first priority.
Yep, so this is the gold mining mission, where you have to mine gold, and that's how you're going to make your money, and it's one of the main objectives of the mission. So, search rocky areas for the presence of metal ore, evidenced by shiny metallic patches among the rocks. In order to extract the ore, you must build gold mines adjacent to these veins. A palace is needed to convert the raw gold ore, as well as to store the resulting gold bullion. The palace is the seat of the city's government, must be built while there is suitable access to groundwater. Once your palace is up and running, miners will deliver gold ore from any gold mines for conversion into cash, counted in debens, which is our currency. With a supply of cash in reserve, however, comes the risk of theft. Constables can help reduce losses through theft, both by patrolling the streets to prevent crime and by subduing any criminals they encounter. The best way to prevent crime, though, is to keep your population happy with adequate food, healthcare, and jobs. So, yes. Our gold places are over here, so the first order of business for us on this mission is to build a couple of gold mines. And I'm going to want to run a road from there to there. And I accidentally made it the wrong shape. Oh well. In any case, the next thing we want to do is get a small worker district up and running. This is not going to be the place we're trying to evolve in things. It's going to be where the workers will live. Hence why it's going to be a little different compared to my other usual shapes. Yes. And I'm going to now do a hunting lodge. Over here. And a granary. And I think also a bazaar.